Parts and main components and its function of a polygraph. Pneumograph. Pneumograph records the respiratory activity. The pneumograph measures respiratory rate and depth. It uses tubes placed around the chest and abdomen to detect changes in breathing patterns. Similar to cardiograph, the assumption is that stress related to deception will manifest as changes in breathing such as faster or shallower breaths. Cardiograph. Cardiograph records cardiovascular activity. The cardiograph measures heart rate and blood pressure. In polygraph context, a cardioseismograph, a type of cardiograph, uses a blood pressure cuff to monitor these vital signs. The theory is that lying causes physiological stress leading to changes in heart rate and blood pressure. A sudden increase in either could be interpreted as a deceptive response. Galvanograph. The galvanograph is responsible for producing the graphic recording of skin resistance or the electrodermal activity. EDA recently replaced the term galvanic skin responses or the GSR. The galvanograph measures galvanic skin response, also known as a skin conductance. Electrodes attached to the fingers detects changes in sweat gland activity. Increased sweating, often associated with anxiety or stress, is believed to indicate that there is a deception between the subjects. Chemograph. The chemograph is a motor that drives the polygraph chart under the recording pen at a uniform rate of 1 division per 5 seconds. 1 division of the chart is equivalent to 1/2 inch. This component is used only in analog polygraphs in which the polygram is produced simultaneously with the application of stimulus. The chemograph is a chart recorder that displays the data from the other instruments on a moving strip of paper. While historically used in polygraphs, modern computerized polygraphs often replace it with a digital recording and analysis. The chemograph's function is to provide a visual representation of the physiological changes over time. Accessory components.
Polygraph chair. It is a chair designed to absorb concealed muscular movements of the subject. So, meaning, ito is yung chair na ginagamit during lie detection or yung lie detector test. It is designed to keep the person sitting and still comfortable. Kasi sometimes, yung mga subject is galaw ng galaw, which naapektuhan niya yung result ng test. So, itong polygraph chair is may mga sensors na nade-detect yung mga small body movement. Yung goal ng chair na to is to help the polygraph machine to get accurate readings of breathing, heart rate, and sweat. Next is the plethysmograph. It is a device that measures changes in blood volume in a part of the body. So, there are two common types of plethysmographs. It's the occlusion and the other one is photoelectric. So, yung plethysmograph is isang device na nag-check kung gaano kadami yung dugo o kaya yung hangin na dumadaloy sa may part ng body mo during the investigation or the lie detector test. So, last one is the polygram. It is a graphic representation containing selected physiological data generated by an examinee during the data collection phase of a polygraph examination. So, yung polygram, it is the result of the chart markings and chart tracing. So, meron tayong types of polygrams, which is yung analog polygrams and computerized polygrams. Meaning, it's the paper or the digital graph that shows the line of your heartbeat, breathing, and sweating during a lie detector test.
Kinds of lies.
So the next topic is the kinds of lies. The first one is the white lie. It is used to avoid the harmful and realistic implication of the truth. It will cause no discord if not discovered and offers some benefit to the liar and the hearer. It is basically used to lubricate interpersonal relationship. White lie is a small or harmless lie to told as avoid hurting someone's feelings or to be polite. Example, if someone cooks you food that doesn't taste good, but you say it's delicious to avoid hurting their feelings, that is white lie. So, the purpose of white lie is to maintain the harmony of relationship. Next is the black lie. Telling an untruth and attributing it to the false source. A lie who combines pretension and hypocrisy, intriguing to cause of dishonor or discredits one's good image. So, a black lie is a lie that is told to hurt someone, gain something for yourself, or cover up something bad. It is the opposite of white lie. It's told with bad intention. For example, if you blame your classmate for something you did so don't get in trouble, that's a black lie. Next is the red lie. A lie common to communist country, it is used to destroy common ideologies by means of propaganda. This involves the political interest and the motives because this is a party of communist propaganda strategy. So red lie is not just a personal lie, it is a political tool meant to manipulate public opinion and support political goals. For example, a government spread false news that democracy causes chaos and hunger just to make people support communism. Next is the aggressive lie. It is the lie are self-serving and may potentially damage others, and therefore most people would see them as clearly immoral. So it is the lie tends to hurt other people to benefit your interests. So, for example, a student falsely accuses a classmate of cheating to get them disqualified from an honor list, hoping to take their spot. So, a bold-faced lie, it is the lie that is told when it's obvious to all concerned that is the lie. So, for example, that is the picture showing a kids eating chocolate. So, you ask him if kinain niya ba yung chocolate na mapagmamayari mo na nasa refrigerator nyo and dinideny niya, but it is obvious na kinain niya naman talaga. So, perjury, it is a kind of lie that making verifiably false statement on a material matter under oath or affirmation in a court of law or any various statement in writing. A perjury is a crime because the witness has sworn to tell the truth and for the credibility of the court. Witness testimony must be relied on as being truthful. Next one is the malicious lie. A malicious lie is a pure dishonesty to obstruct justice. It is a very pure and unjustifiable kind of lie that is intended purely to mislead or obstruct justice by a guilty accused person. For example, mayroong person na naakusahan or accused sa murder. Pero time na tinatanong siya is nagsisinungaling siya, dinideny niya pa rin. So, ino-obstruct niya yung justice, mini-mislead niya yung justice para makaiwas sa kaso. Next kind of lie is the altruistic lie. It is a kind of lie that are those lies that are told to benefit someone else, to reduce suffering or to help increase self-esteem, used to comfort, protect, and support the deceased. So, it is the lie to benefit other or protects the feelings of someone. Next is the pathological lies. It is the lie that are those that are told even when there is no little or no apparent gain to the person who is lying. In the fact, the lying often occurs even when the result would be better if the truth was told. A lie made by a person who cannot distinguish right and wrong. Furthermore, The lie is not determined solely by situational factors and appear to the compulsive or fantastic. So, ito yung lie na commonly sa mga merong sakit sa pag-iisip or merong sick of mind. So nagsisinungaling sila kahit wala silang benefits or kasi hindi naman nila alam kung ano talaga yung kasinungalingan na yun. So next is the emergency lie or the defensive lie. It is used when the truth may not be told because of the harm that would come of it. So the purpose of this lie is to save others or protects others to avoid danger or harmful event caused to him. Next lie is the humorous lie. It also known as the jocose lie. Those aim at amusing the listener and any intent to deceive is transient and teasing. Characteristically, they involve some degree of preposterous or exaggeration. For example, the example for this is the sarcasm. So, humorous lie, ito yung pagsisinungaling in terms of joking. The next kind of lie is the bluffing. Is an act of deception that is not usually seen as immoral because it takes place in the context of a game, where this kind of deception is consented to in advance by the player. This kind of deception is accepted as tactic and even expected. So, this kind of lie that you are pretending to your capability that you have, but you don't have, it is bluffing. The next one is the exaggeration. Exaggeration is kind of lie is when the most fundamental aspect of a statement is true, but the degree of its truthfulness is incorrect. Maximization of felt emotion reflects a dramatic attempt to influence other person. So, it simply means yung exaggeration is dinadagdagan mo lang yung statement or kwento mo. So, the next kind of lie is minimization. It's kind of lie that result of an individual to attempt to dampen the external appearance of a more deeply experienced emotions. Is minimization of emotional expression. So, dito, sa minimization, it is kind of lie na mini-maintain or kinokontrol mo yung emotions na meron ka. So, for example, is merong nangyari sa'yo or more deep yung nangyari sa'yo but mini-minimize mo yung emotion mo, binabawasan mo. Next is neutralization. So, this kind of lie that an effort to mask emotional response by adopting a poker face. So, psychoanalysis and other professionals may display a relatively little response in their efforts to appear non-judgmental of the patient or client its statement. So, ito yung iniiwasan mo ipakita sa iba yung emotion na meron ka. So, adopting a poker face, hindi ka nagpapakita ng kahit na anong emotion. So, the next kind of lie is the substitution. It is a common mechanism of hiding one's true feelings. One of the most common techniques employed for the purpose of substitute pleasure for a negative emotion. Smiling is one of the easiest non-verbal communication to produce and may be used to mask feeling of arrogance, anxiety, or boredom. So, you're not talking here and you're just smiling, and from the word itself, substitution, you act in a certain way to cover up how you really feel inside. That is substitution. So, the last part of kind of lie is the promotion lie. So, it is a kind of lie is used in advertisement or marketing strategy that is used to influence the consumer to buy product. And this is lie you made to sell products.
Types of liars.
And now, let's move on to the next topic, which is the different types of liars. The first one is the sociopathic liars. It is the type of liars that are those who lie continuously to get their own way without care or concern for others. They are goal-oriented. So, sociopathic liars, these are the liars like to get what they want. They don't care if they hurt others. For examples, one tell his boss that his coworker Anna is stealing office supply, even though it's not true, just to get Anna fired and take her position. So, siniraan ni Juan si Anna para mapalitan niya ito sa trabaho. So, ito yung types ng sociopathic liar. Next one is the compulsive liar. It is the type of liar that are those someone who continually lies as a habit. They feel discomfort of being truthful because lying makes them feel right. So, compulsive liar, they lie out of habit. Minsan kahit walang dahilan, nagsisinungaling sila. For example, Carlos say he went to Japan last summer, but he is actually stay at home. He always lies even about small things. So, palagi siyang nagsisinungaling kahit walang dahilan because when telling lie, they feel right or makes them comfort. And next one is the occasional liars. This type of liars that are those who seldom tells lies or they often lying. They are quick to ask forgiveness from the individual that they lied to. So, occasional liar is bihirang magsinungaling at humihingi agad sila ng tawad kapag sila ay nahuhuli nagsisinungaling. For example, Mia told her friend she could not go to the party because she was sick, but actually, she just did not want to go. The next day, she apologized. So, nagsinungaling si Mia pero agad siyang humingi ng tawad. This type of liars that occasionally. Next one is panic liars. This type of liars that are those who lie in order to avoid the consequences of confession. They are afraid of embarrassment and believe that confession will worsen the matter. So, panic liars, they lie out of fear. Natatakot sila sa kahihiyan or punishment if they telling a truth. So, they lie. So, for example, Brian broke his mom's vase but blamed the dog because he was scared of getting scolded. Nagsinungaling si Brian dahil natatakot siyang mapagalitan ng nanay niya. So, it is example of panic liar. So, next is the occupational liar. This type of liars that are considered to be practical liars, for they lie when it has a higher payoff than telling the truth. So, occupational liar, these are practical liars. They lie if it helps them in their job or work. For example, Lisa, a salesperson, exaggerated the benefits of her products to get a sale. So, niloloko ni Lisa yung mga customer. Not actually niloloko, pero yung mga sinasabi niya is dinadagdagan niya para makapabenta siya ng products niya. That is sample of occupational liar. Next one is the tournament liar. This is type of liar that are those who love to lie and are excited by the challenge or not being detected. An interview is a contest they want to win. They realize that they will probably be convicted but will not give anyone the satisfaction of hearing them confessed. So, tournament liar are those na para sa kanila na ang pagsisinungaling ay parang game or laro. Gustong-gusto nila ang challenge na hindi sila mahuli ng mga investigator. For example, Mark was caught stealing but continued to deny it with clever lies just to outsmart the investigator. ayaw niyang umamin kahit alam niyang mahuhuli siya. That example of tournament liar. Next one is the psychopathic liars. This kind or types of liar are those who most difficult type. This person have no conscience and show no regrets for dishonesty and the manifestation of guilt. Psychopathic liar, it is yung mga tao na walang konsensya. Hindi sila nakakaramdam ng kahit na anong guilt, kahit pa sino yung may involved or masaktan nila when they lying. So, for example, Tina lied in court under oath, ruining another person's life, but she show no remorse or kahit na anong guilt sa mukha niya. Walang pakialam si Tina kahit mapahamak pa yung iba dahil sa kasinungalingan niya. So, that is psychopathic liar. Next one is the ethnological liars. This type of liars that are those who are taught not to be a squealer, or ito yung mga kadalasang nasa member or organized crime. So, ethnological liar is tapat sila sa grupo or kultura na meron sila. Nagiging liar sila kasi they are trained liars or tapat sila sa kultura na meron sila or grupo. For example, Nico saw his friend cheat during exam but did not tell the teacher because in their group, snitching is not allowed. So, ayaw magsumbong ni Nico kasi bawal sa kanilang grupo ang snitch or sumbongero. So, it is the example of ethnological liar. Next one is the pathological liars. These types of liars that are those person who cannot distinguish right from wrong due to their sick of mind. So, pathological liar is meron silang mental condition kaya hindi nila alam yung tama at mali sa pagsisinungaling nila. For example, Jessa always invents a story she believes are true, even they are obviously fake. Si Jessa ay nagsisinungaling pero naniniwala siya na totoo yung mga sinasabi niya. So, that is example of pathological liar. Next one is the black liar. So, black liar are those type of liar that are person who always pretend what he is and what he thinks of himself. So, black liar is, ito yung mga tipo ng tao na palaging nagpapanggap or nagpre-pretend. Hindi pinapakita yung kanilang tunay na sarili. So, for example, Leo acts like he is rich and successful online. But in reality, he's unemployed and struggling. So, nagpapanggap si Leo sa social media na mayaman siya kahit hindi naman totoo. That example of black liar. They keep pretending. And lastly, the white liars. So, this type of liars that are those who don't usually think of themselves as true liars. They justify their lies as harmless and beneficial. So, ang white lie, sa tingin nila harmless ang kanilang pagsisinungaling. Kaya ginagawa nila ito para hindi sila makasakit or para pinaprotect nila yung relationship ng kanilang kinakausap or kung kanino man sila nagsisinungaling. So, for example, Anna tells her friend that her new haircut looks good even if it does not. So, she won't hurt her feelings. Nagsinungaling si Anna para lang hindi masaktan yung damdamin ng kaibigan niya. That example of white liars.
Phases of polygraph examination. In polygraph examination, we have 4 phases. The first one is the preliminary preparation. The second one is the pre-test interview or the pre-test phase. The third one is the examination proper, or the in-test phase, and the last is the post-test interview or the post-test phase. The first phase of polygraph examination is the preliminary preparation. This stage is the initial interview with the investigator handling the case or the person requesting it. The group involved in this stage are the victim or the complainant, suspect, and the witnesses. This stage includes obtaining and evaluating facts, determining areas the subject need to be asked, and the investigator must furnish the examiner with the following. First is the sworn statement of the suspect, witnesses, victim, complainant. Incident report, spot report of the subjects, witnesses, victims, and complainants. Rough sketch or pictures of the crime scene, peculiar aspects of the offense or any strange set, exact time the offense was committed, known facts about the suspect's action and movement, facts indicating any connection between the suspect, victims, and witnesses, exact type of weapon, tool, or firearms used, result of laboratory tests, unpolished facts of the offense known only by the victim, suspect, and the investigator. In the first phase of polygraph examination, before any interaction with the subject, the polygraph examiner needs a comprehensive information about the case under investigation. This includes gathering details about the alleged crime, the evidence collected, and any statement made by the subject or the witnesses. These initial investigations help the examiners formulate relevant questions for the polygraph test and understand the context of the situation. This phase is important for tailoring the examination to the specific case. The second phase of polygraph examination is the pre-test interview or the pre-test. This is the stage of the interview of the subject. The primary purpose is to prepare or condition the subject for the test. The following should be taken into consideration: the appraisal of the subject's constitutional rights, obtain the subject's consent to undergo a polygraph test by signing a statement of consent, taking of personal data of the subject, determining his or her suitability as a subject, evaluating the psychological preparation of the subjects, informing the subject of his involvement in the case. And the following right of the subject must be informed clearly to him or her. First is the right to remain silent. Second, anything he or she says may be used in favor or against him. The right to have a lawyer of his own choice, and the right to refuse in the examination. This phase is important for building rapport and gathering essential information. It typically involves an initial interview with the subject to discuss the purpose of the examination, their understanding of the process, and any relevant medical or psychological history. The examiner will also gather background information about the case from the investigator. This phase is important for establishing a baseline understanding of the subject's physiological responses and creating a relaxed environment that minimizes anxiety. Careful questions construct is also a key component of this phase, with the examiner crafting relevant or irrelevant and controlled questions. In this phase, it includes that the examiner must consider the constitutional right of the subject. The third phase of polygraph examination is the examination proper or the in-test phase. After the pre-test interview, the examiner should proceed to the placement or attachment of the polygraph sensors. The first to be attached is the pneumograph, followed by the cardiograph and the galvano sensors. Review all the questions with the subjects before the actual examination is made. The examiner should discourage any comments or statement by the subject. Test instruments must be given to the subject upon completion of the necessary preliminary preparation. In the examination purpose, it starts with the actual data collection. It attaches the sensors, which is the pneumograph, followed by cardiograph and the galvanograph. It monitors the physiological changes including heart rate, blood pressure, respiration rate, and skin conductivity. The examiner then poses the prepared questions to the subjects, typically multiple times, while recording the physiological responses. The examiner focuses on the data collection, avoiding any interpretation during this phase. It ensures objectivity and minimizes bias in the subsequent analysis. During the examination proper, the examiner will analyze, interpret, and evaluate the examinee's physiological data collected during the polygraph examination. And after that, which is the examiner will form one of the following professional opinions. In the professional opinions, there are three opinions. First is the NDI or the no deception indicated. Second is the DI or the deception indicated, and the third one is the INC or inconclusive. The first one, the NDI or the no deception indicated, the subject is telling the truth. The second one, in DI or the deception indicated, the subject is not telling the truth. And the last one, which is the INC or inconclusive, the evaluation of the physiological data is inconclusive. The last phase of polygraph examination is the post-test interview or the post-test phase. This stage includes all considerations that bears on the examination. This is done just after the instrument is turned off. If the polygraph test results indicate deception, the examiner will then proceed to conduct a short interrogation. The purpose of which is to obtain a confession. However, if the polygraph indicates the subject is innocent, the examiner will just release the subject and thank him or her for his cooperation. The purpose of further questioning after the test are to clarify the findings, to learn if there are any other reasons for the subjects responding to relevant questions other than the knowledge of the crime, and to obtain additional information and admission for law enforcement purposes if the results suggest deception. In the last phase of polygraph examination, the examiner will then typically conduct a post-test interview to discuss the finding with the subjects, allowing for clarification of any ambiguous responses. A comprehensive written report summarizing the findings is usually generated, presenting the data analysis and conclusion. Scientific method of detecting lies.
Intoxication. It is a method wherein the interviewer uses substances like alcohol to intoxicate the subject. By using intoxication, the subject may lower their guard or inhibition, and their emotion and speech are less restrained or sometimes can't control it. So the subject may confess or may reveal the truth. Although it is inadmissible to court, the interviewer can record the confession and ask the subject after they sober up. Second, hypnosis. A changed state of awareness and increased relaxation that allows the subject to improve focus and concentration. It is a method used to get the subject to remember the past events more specifically and to access the unconscious level, wherein it allows the subject to dig in the deep and forgotten past memories. Third, word-associated test. It is a technique associate connection between a stimulus and free verbal responses, systematically to assess the subject's psychological state when presented with specific words or question. It analyzes the response of the subject, including reaction time and chosen words, or to simply to know how a subject responds on what comes first into mind in a word or phrase when being asked a series of questions. Fourth, truth serum test. It is a method used to obtain or get information to the subject who is unable or unwilling to give information. The interviewer used narcotics or medication like sodium pentothal or sodium amytal. They inject it to the subject in order to get or extract confession or information and to get truthful statement came from the subject. Fifth, psychological stress evaluator. Ito yung method na nagdidetect ng pagbabago sa boses ng isang tao na kung saan madidetect ng machine kung yung boses mo ay garalgal or shaky na ibig sabihin ay stress o nagsisinungaling ang isang subject. 6. Computer Voice Stress Analyzer. Ang method na ito ay ginagamitan ng teknolohiya o computer at kinakapitan ng mga aparatos o instrumento ang isang subject upang ma-detect ang mga involuntary microtremors at ma-detect kung may stress ba sa boses ng isang subject. Ina-analyze din nito ang mga microtremors sa boses para malaman kung nagsisinungaling o nagsasabi ba ng katotohanan ng isang subject. 7. Neurolinguistic Programming. Ang method na ito ay pag-obserba o pagsunod sa kilos ng mata ng isang subject. Sa pag-iwas ng mata ng isang subject habang tinatanong ito, malalaman agad ng interviewer kung nagsisinungaling ba ito, may tinatago o hindi sinasabi ang buong katotohanan, nag-iisip ng alibay o nagko-construct ng mga pangyayari na wala namang katotohanan. 8. Brainwave fingerprinting. It is a kind of technique which uses EEG that measures brainwaves to determine concealed information that is stored in subject's brain, and also to detect and record the responses on a word, pictures that presented in front of the subject. 9. Microexpression. It is a facial expression where it can reveal the true emotion of the subject like anger, happiness, sadness, fear, and etc. Even if they try to conceal or hide it. It can't easily track or see because it only takes 125 to 115 seconds. This method analyzes the facial expression that shows emotion to find and detect if the subject or the suspect are telling deceit or lies by observing the face of the subject. 10. Polygraphy. It also referred to lie detection tests. It is a tool or instrument used to record physiological responses on the changes of blood pressure, respiration, skin resistance, and pulse rate. In order to assess the truthfulness of the subject during questioning, it used several tools like cardiograph for pulse rate, pneumograph for respiration, galvanograph for skin resistance, and chemograph.
Psychological basis of lying.
Psychological basis of lying. Number 1 is sweating. A sweating is accompanied by a face with a face indicating anger, embarrassment, or extreme nervousness. Yung pagpapawis is nangyayari sa isang tao na guilty. Kapag, halimbawa, tinatanong yung isang tao ng irrelevant question, makakasagot siya tapos hindi siya kakabahan. Example, yung tinatanong lang sa kanya is kung anong pangalan mo, saan ka nakatira, sinong nanay mo, ganon. Masasagot niya yun ng mabilis lang. Pero kapag sa relevant question na yung tinanong sa kanya, mag-uumpisa nang mag-activate yung fight or flight response niya, which is yung sympathetic nervous system. Mag-uumpisa siyang kabahan, kaya magpapawis siya. Kaya nangyayari yung sweating during the investigation sa isang tao na guilty. Okay, next is the color change of face. Flush face may indicate anger, embarrassment, or shame. So, dito naman is nagbabago yung kulay ng mukha ng tao kapag halimbawa kapag natawag tayo sa may klase, hindi tayo nakasagot, nahiya tayo, pwedeng mamula tayo, pwede rin naman na mamutla dahil nga sa blood circulation na nangyari kapag tayo kinabahan o kaya naman nagalit o kaya nahiya. Yun nga, pwedeng magbago sa red o kaya naman ay pale dahil yun sa pagbabago ng blood vessel activity natin. Okay, next is the dryness of mouth. Nervous tension causes reflex inhibition of salivary secretion and consequently dryness of the mouth. So, this one naman is occurs in a guilty or nervous person dahil sa stress na ina-activate ng sympathetic nervous system. Yung response na to is nire-reduce niya yung production of saliva as the body prioritize fight or flight actions instead sa may digestion. Meaning, yung result nun is yung mouth feels dry and the person may have trouble speaking clearly. Excess activity of the Adam's apple. These are also the sign when the person is lying or nervous. So, the throat moves up and down more often than usual. So, di ba meron kapag nagigilty yung isang tao or na-stress, ang nangyayari sa kanya is nagdadry yung mouth niya. So, yung ginagawa ng isang tao para hindi mag-dry yung mouth niya is lumulunok siya more often than usual. Example, pagka tinatanong mo naman siya ng irrelevant question, hindi naman siya lunok ng lunok. Pero kapag sa relevant question na, kinakabahan na siya, nagdadry yung mouth niya, tapos lunok na siya ng lunok. Okay, next. Fidgeting. A suspect may constantly move about in the chair, pull his ears, rub his face, etc. So, fidgeting happens when a person is guilty or nervous because the body releases stress hormones. So, yung fidgeting is yung galaw ng galaw sa upuan, hindi mapakali, hinahawakan yung tenga niya, yung, alam mo yung nagpapakita talaga na siya ng signs ng discomfort. Hindi siya comfortable kapag tinatanong siya. Or, hindi siya comfortable sa sitwasyon na kinalalagyan niya. So, yung fidgeting, it is a way to release attention or a way to relax. Peculiar feeling. So, there is the sensation of lightness and the subject is confused. So, meaning, there is a strange or unusual feeling that you can't easily explain. Yung feeling na hindi mo maipaliwanag kung ano yung nararamdaman mo ba talaga. Kung kinakabahan ka ba o natitense ka ba. Basta alam mo sa sarili mo na nako-confuse ka pero hindi mo mapaliwanag kung bakit at hindi mo rin alam kung bakit ka naggaganon. Ito yung nararamdaman ng isang tao kapag ka nagigilty siya. Nako-confuse siya sa mga nangyayari. Okay, next. Swearing to the truthfulness of assertion. So, dito naman is sinasabi ng subject na nagsasabi siya ng totoo. Ito naman is isa din na sign ng lying. Kapag ka sinabi ng isang tao na, promise, hindi ako nagsisinungaling, totoo yung sinasabi ko, maniwala kayo sa akin. So, yon is a sign na nagsisinungaling yung isang tao. Okay, next. Religious man and or spotless spot record. So, dito naman is yung subject is ginagamit niya yung Diyos o religion niya para hindi siya mapagbintangan na siya is nagsisinungaling. For example is, diba nagawa niya na yung krimen. Tapos pagkatapos nun, magsisimba na siya, simba ng simba, ganon. Tapos may isip ng mga investigador na, ay hindi ito yung pumatay. Kasi pala simba tong tao na to. Ganon. So, ginagamit niya yung Diyos para malusutan niya yung krimen na nagawa niya. Next is inability to look at the investigator straight in the eye. So, this one is the gaze aversion, which is yung subject tapos yung investigator is, di ba, nag-uusap. Pagka sa may irrelevant question, yung subject is nakakatingin pa sa may investigator ng diretso. Pero kapag sa relevant question na siya tinanong, pagka relevant question na yung tinanong sa kanya, hindi na siya makatingin ng straight sa may investigator. Like, yung pagka tinanong sa kanya na, ikaw ba yung pumatay? Ganon. Sasagot siya, pero hindi siya nakatingin ng diretso sa may investigator. Meaning, yung subject is nagsisinungaling. So, last one is the not that I remember expression. So, yung mga subject is nagpapalusot. Sasabihin nila na, ay, hindi ko na maalala kung ano yung nangyari nung gabi na yun. Ganon yung mga expression nila para malusutan nila yung mga ginawa nilang crime. So, meaning, pagka naggaganon yung isang subject, is nagsisinungaling din siya.